Hi everyone, I'm Irmak, and today I will introduce the nature of economics, which forms the foundation of everything we study in IBHL economics. Economics is not only about money, and it is about understanding how people make decisions in a world where all the resources are limited. By studying economics, we learn why choices must be made and how societies try to improve well-being. So let's start. First of all, economics is considered a social science because it studies human behavior. It focuses on how people organize their activities to satisfy their needs and wants. Economists analyze decision making, the allocation of resources, and how societies function. Using data and models, they explain real life issues and such as rising prices, unemployment, and inflation. This shows that economics help us understand the everyday life. There are two main branches of economics, which are microeconomics and macroeconomics. Microeconomics focuses on individuals, households, firms, markets, and prices, and also how businesses make their decisions. For example, it can explain why people choose cheaper products or why a company decides to increase their prices. Macroeconomics, on the other hand, studies the economy as a whole, including inflation, unemployment, economic growth, and national income. Understanding both perspectives help us see how individual decisions connect to the wider economy. At the center of the economy, the main problem is scarcity. Scarcity means that resources are limited while human wants are unlimited. There are not enough resources to produce everything that people desire or need. Because of scarcity, choices must be made, and individuals decide how to spend money, firms decide what to produce, and government decides how to allocate the resources. Whenever a choice is made, a trade-off occurs. This leads to the concept of opportunity cost, which is one of the most important concepts in economics. Opportunity cost is the value of the next best alternative that is sacrificed in order to obtain something else. For example, if you choose to study instead of going out, the opportunity cost is the time and enjoyment you gave up. Opportunity cost reminds us that every decision has a hidden cost. To satisfy needs and wants, economies produce goods and services. Goods are physical objects which are tangible, such as food, clothes, phones, while services are non-physical activities such as education, healthcare, and transportation. Some goods are free, like sunlight and wind, because they're not scarce. However, most goods are economic goods, such as food, housing, electricity, because they're scarce and have an opportunity cost. Um, an important point here is that a good can change from economic good, from free to economic good if it becomes scarce, such as clean drinking water during droughts or clean air when there's pollution. Okay, to produce goods and services, economies use factors of production. These include land, which refers to natural resources, labor, which is human effort and skills, capital, which includes tools and machinery, and entrepreneurship, which involves organizing resources and taking risks. For example, a restaurant needs ingredients, workers, kitchen equipment, and an owner to manage the business. Since resources are limited, they must be used efficiently. Efficiency means making the best possible use of scarce resources to avoid waste and maximize output. However, societies must also consider equity, which refers to fairness in the distribution of income and opportunities. Fairness does not always mean equality, by the way. Instead, it focuses on justice and access. Also, another important goal of economics is improving economic well-being. And this is one of the most important purposes of economics, is to improve the well-being. This refers to the level of prosperity and quality of life in a society, and it includes income, health, education, housing, security, and overall life satisfaction. A country may be wealthy, but if healthcare or education is poor, well-being may still be low. Closely linked to well-being is sustainability. Sustainability means meeting present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. This requires protecting natural resources, reducing pollution, and encouraging responsible consumption. Economic economies are also dynamic and interconnected. Technology changes, consumer preferences evolve over time, and global events affect production and trade. Inter Interdependence means that economic decision makers rely on each other. which means that consumer depends on firms, firms depend on workers, and countries depend on international trade. Because markets do not always produce fair or efficient outcomes, governments sometimes intervene in the economy, and government intervention can correct market failures, reduce inequality, protect the environment, and improve overall well-being. In conclusion, economics help us understand how scarce resources are used, why choices must be made, and how societies can improve well-being. By studying economics, we gain the tools to analyze real-world problems and make better decisions as individuals and as global citizens. Thank you for listening.